do the front rotors and brakes on a 2006 Dodge Charger. First thing we want to do is get this car jacked up. My preference is just jack it enough to where the tires off the ground. Don't need no extra anything that's safety. It's about safety. You want to get all the lugs off. We had them busted loose. I usually use the tire for a seat when I sit down. Gonna turn the key, don't turn the car on. And you want to take your tire and you want to turn it towards the passenger seat. Always make sure too, is I always put a brick in front of the back, brick in front of the front, and then I go up here to the thing. I got a jack stand. It's just something to catch it, security. Now, what I begin to do is take the caliper screws out. There's the top one, which is a 13mm bolt, then the bottom one, that's a 13. Take both of those out. Then remove take a little wiggling to remove the caliper. Then the next move you have to do, because we're replacing the rotor, but as you see, the caliper housing is stopping the rotor. So you want to remove the two brake pads, and then we're going to get to these two bolts behind here to take out the housing. We're using the 18mm ratchet to take out the top screw and the bottom screw on the caliper housing. And when you take it out, and then it just immediately releases the rotor. We're going to keep that rotor right there because there's nothing wrong with that rotor. The passenger side rotor was ate up. That's what gave us our problem. These brake pads are evenly worn. What we're going to do now is replace the board. Don't that look beautiful? I call it meat. Look at that meat on that sandwich. You got to keep your brake pads replaced. You got to keep a check on them. Make sure that they get even wear. Put your inner brake, slide your outer brake. They're gonna fit like a glove. You don't worry about this here because what secures this rotor is the 5 lugs when you bolt it down. What I do now is I usually take one of the old brake pads, put it up against the caliper that we're trying to push back. Take a C-clamp. You got to get me a bigger C-clamp. Bigger the C-clamp, the easier the job. And then what you're doing is, every time your brakes wear, your caliper pushes in. As your brakes wear down, and it pushes in. So when you have old brakes, your caliper's all the way in. So when you get new brakes, which are real thick, like the brake pads here is thick, now you gotta push the caliper housing all the way back and open so it could receive the new brake pads. Tighten up our 13mm top bolt on the caliper housing and the 13mm bottom housing screw. You just put a little light torque. You don't need to over tightening because there's no pressure going on them brakes. Ready? What we're gonna do now is you want to straighten the wheel back out. You want to come all the way straight with the wheel. Cut your car out. Always remember, this is another tip that when you're going back, we're putting the tire on after doing the rotor job and the brake job. You always tighten your tire back. Everybody don't know, like changing a flat. You use a star pattern, meaning once I tighten this one, you don't go to the next one and tighten. You tighten this, then you go to the one furthest away from you, tighten this, then you go to the one farthest from you, tighten that, then you go tighten this one, and then you go tighten this one that you hadn't tightened. They call that a star pattern, not going around and tightening. By you going in the star pattern, it allows the tire to go up on the rim evenly when you bolt it on, so it won't be wobbling or nothing. Call it the star pattern. It's buckled up. The caliper and the brake pad job on the 2006 Dodge Charger. Don't forget to subscribe.